So the leaking of that video where Diddy is whooping Cassie's butt in the Intercontinental Hotel back in March 2016 was leaked somehow, but we got details from the gentleman who kept it quiet, supposedly. This is one of the security at the Intercontinental Hotel back then when this incident took place. And we've got details from him. He was on the stand yesterday. I think yesterday was day 14, day 15. I can't keep up. And he basically outlined the whole situation, I guess, bribery deal that was put in place by Diddy and company. I'll say and company. We'll get to that in a second. To basically keep that video from making it out into the public, which obviously that didn't happen. So what really went down? What was the deal? How did this all go? Time to talk. The Diddy trial. Eddie Garcia, the security. Let's get into it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Let's talk about this. So we've all seen that tape by now, right? And of course, CNN had exclusive rights to that tape. Somehow they got it from somebody. But let's go into the backstory from what we were told yesterday on the stand by Eddie Garcia. Eddie Garcia is a security guard who worked in the hotel at the time. He ended up getting a call from Christine Quorum, who is Diddy's chief of staff, like the top dog, whatever that is. And they wound up calling the hotel, and he basically was like, listen, you have to talk to my boss or have a subpoena or whatever. Like, he kind of just like brushed it off as not much I can do. She wound up getting homeboy's personal line, personal cell phone number. How she got that, I guess, whatever means she was able to find out who he was, what his name was, and how she got his personal number. She got his personal number, called back, then had Diddy on the phone. And Diddy, I'm just summarizing, but it essentially was like, yo, what's up? I know you want to help me out. Yo, you're my angel. Yo, I got you. Like, this whole thing, like, I'll take care of you kind of thing took place. And it turned out that the boss was like, yeah, well, for $50,000, we can give him the tape. So Eddie Garcia winds up going to this building. It's kind of like something right out of a movie. And Diddy comes through, and there's this whole thing with like, yo, get him some of that tea that I like. Now, I don't know what that means, if there's something in the tea or whatever he was talking about. Is it legitimately tea, or what was he talking about? All right. So he comes out with a brown bag full of money and a money counter, like a regular scene from Scarface or wherever, whatever, take your pick of the movies, and counts out $100,000 for homie. So Eddie Garcia takes the money, had to sign an NDA of some sort, suggesting that if you leak any of this or say anything, $1 million, you'll basically be responsible for $1 million. This is a guy who's making like $10, $11 an hour at the most. He has never seen this kind of money before. And he basically took the money, took $50,000 of it. I think he took $30,000. He gave $20 to somebody else. He offered money to a different one of the other security guards. In fact, the security guard that's on the extended version of the video from that night or for that morning, Israel Flores, who is the guy who he intervened in the actual altercation with Diddy. You see him on that tape. He turned it down because he was like, yeah, I'm not taking any money. He's kind of like a straight arrow kind of guy. However, we also find out that he actually took a video of the video to show his wife, because she wouldn't be like, how he's such a straight arrow, but like he kept an extra copy for himself. I got to believe that somehow that video is the one that got leaked to CNN. I'm waiting to see how, if it ever comes out, the source of CNN's video, how they got it, and how much this Israel guy got paid. It might seem like Israel is the guy who is just straight out and was, on the up and up, like, no, I don't believe in doing that. I'm not taking any hush money, right? Yet he's the one who is clever enough to keep his own little extra copy in case he ever needed it. And then sure enough, he probably sold it to CNN for some undisclosed amount, which we may never ever find out because of that whole thing brokered with CNN. So my speculation, my thought there is that Israel Flores is the one who made the most money. He gained the most out of this, and he's the one who got the actual leaked copy to CNN. So that's my thoughts on that. So what are they saying about all this? This is the nail in the coffin for the RICO, right? That's what they're saying. Bribery, payoffs and all these different things for this criminal enterprise. I'm going to say, taking the side of the defense, or sort of trying to, walk through this from a defense standpoint in any trial, I would say that this is not bribery, coercion, payoffs for a criminal enterprise in order to orchestrate some sort of element of criminality, like something going on, right? It's a celebrity. You can make the argument this is a celebrity, a public figure, a high profile public figure trying to squash negative publicity, which would look bad. Now, is it obstruction of justice according to California code? Obstruction of justice would include tampering with evidence, right? But is this evidence in a criminal case, covering up a crime, trying to suppress a crime? I'm not sure what the actual line is and how it can be argued, but I see this as, if I'm defense, I'm going to say this is not a man trying to change the outcome of an, enhance or advance his enterprise, his criminal mob doings and all this stuff for Bad Boy or Ciroc or one of his companies, take your pick. This is a guy who had a fight with his girlfriend and didn't want it getting out, because as a public figure, you don't want that to get out. So the motivation, I don't know to what degree motivation plays a role in the defense of playing down the RICO portion of this. So I really don't know. I speculate that the defense is going to go that direction and say this is a guy trying to hide something that would negatively impact him. And to go further, while Eddie Garcia was in that room with KK, with Diddy, and the bag of money and all that stuff, he actually made the case that, well, what if, this gets, he didn't want to do something against like the victim. In other words, Cassie. Diddy got Cassie on the phone on FaceTime, and she basically, and he told her to tell Garcia that she didn't want the getting out either. And there's actual evidence that Cassie actually made the statement that she had a movie coming out and she didn't want this getting out either, which is perfectly legitimate. Again, this is celebrities protecting their image, protecting their brand. So that's what this looks like. So I between Cassie's testimony, which of course people are going to say that Diddy, this is part of the coercion and the threats of violence, and he made her say that, right? He made her say, you're going to cover this up, girl, right? Get on here and tell him, right? But I honestly, from her own words, I do believe that she wouldn't want this getting out either. The embarrassment of it, the actual, if she's promoting a movie, does she really want to deal with answering questions about this? So legitimately, I don't think it was a matter of Diddy having to coerce her into saying she didn't want. I don't think she wanted it out. And the defense is going to play that. So that's what took place yesterday. I believe today we've got former executive at Combs' businesses, a guy named Derek Ferguson, is going to be testifying. This could get tricky and this could start doing more for the RICO case, because he's going to testify probably on some financial stuff and much more when it comes to the business doings of Diddy. So we'll see. Also, we've got Cassie's friend, who we've spoken about before. She's been spoken about before during this trial, Brianna Bongolan. This is the woman that was allegedly hung over the balcony of a 17th story high-rise building by Diddy. Diddy denies the allegation and says that never happened. But she actually had filed a civil suit against him for abhorrent conduct. So we'll see what happens with this today. Again, I'll keep you posted. My thing is not to go line per line per line per line on every little detail that took place. There's plenty of channels you can go find people standing outside the court and doing live streams on that and shouting out people, whatever. I'm more just looking at it and saying, here's what happened, here's what I think. And today, regarding Garcia and regarding that payoff, I see that as the defense saying, this is a man protecting his reputation. This is not a guy trying to advance his criminal enterprise by paying money to somebody to make something happen. That's how I see that. I could be totally wrong. Let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen. Let me know your thoughts on whether that bribery is an obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, tampering with the witness. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe if you've not subscribed. Like the video on the way out. It makes a huge difference. And I'll see you in the next time to talk. Peace.